Welcome to the Church of Mabus, everyone. This is our first show live. Just had a little test run, which failed epically. And, Jeff, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. There was an alien transmission or some kind of governmental thing that kind of messed up friggin' reptilian commies that blocked our signal, but we got through the satellite network, and here we are now. Welcome to the Church of Mabus.
Yeah, I think Joe's just drunk, so,
So how's it going? This is our first show, and welcome to the Church of Mabus. Tonight's guest is Sasha Christie from Britain. It'll be our first guest from Britain, so hopefully everything will go good. Guy's going to translate. Sasha likes to talk in a lot of weird lingo. I'm going to get her to talk in some of it. I know Sasha pretty good, and I am her man, and we'll definitely have a good time. This is definitely looking forward to it, and we got questions lined up for her.
Well, she's going to rant.
Huh?
She's going to go on a rant. She's pretty pissed off at some people. Plus, she's got some stuff with Rendlesham she wants to talk about, which is really cool. You have the tape of the guys that were going out in the woods in Rendlesham, and they were looking at the, when they were talking back and forth, when they were like, shit was like going through the woods and all the fucked up lights and everything. And I guess underneath they did some forensics on the tape, and there is some conversations going on, like someone's being tortured. So pretty cool.
Definitely very bizarre, and I've read some about it, and it's definitely some new developments on Rendlesham that a lot of other people in the UFO field don't really want to look at very much. They're kind of ignoring it. I've seen her bring it up in front of Linda Moulton Howe and stuff, and they just don't even pay it any attention at all. Well,
yeah, it's like what Joe was saying earlier about, and what we talked about when we interviewed Joe a few weeks ago, it's a lot of these cases are like, fucking hollowed ground. You don't fuck with them. You don't mess with Roswell, Betty Barney Hill, and the Aztec crash, and some of this other crap. They're like religious people. They're fanatical about it. And, it's like you're messing with the Bible. You're messing with Jesus Christ or something like that. You know what I mean? And they don't want to talk about it. So, according to them, it's just a done deal, and they're done with it. So when you bring up anything else, and it's like, oh, no, you're stirring up the pot.
They're set in their ways, pretty much, and they don't want anything to disturb their ways. So, they don't want any new developments. They're pretty much, stuck where they're at, and they don't want to hear anything new because they're old friggin' cobwebby old boogers, pretty much.
Hey, Joe, can I drop F-bombs?
I know. I was like, I hope we're not on FM.
Yeah, I'm okay. All right. So, I'm
FCC.
Away here tonight. I'm
all right. Well, let's get Sasha on here and begin our interrogation.
All right.
Just kidding. Hopefully she's...
I'm all right, yeah, just about. Can't believe I'm still awake. I tried to uninstall it. It wouldn't uninstall. I tried to own it. It wouldn't let me do anything. So I had to borrow a friend's laptop, and then that switched itself off, and I couldn't remember the password. So about 20 to 4, I got the password, and I was having a complete panic attack.
So what was the password? Password?
No, I can't tell you that. I'd have to kill you.
Why? Come on. You can tell me. I'm clear over here across the pond. What am I going to do?
Who knows?
Okay. So Jeff, oh, here we go. We got some...
Here's Johnny.
Oh, my God.
We're back. Hey, Joe, if you can hear us, do me a favor. Kit Judy Face loves you, stalker, crazy dude that pretends to be a grandmother. Thanks. Hey, Sasha, are you there?
No.
Oh, no. It's your technical thing, man. It's these friggin' gremlins over there.
Oh, and shocking.
It's the MOD.
No, damn it. It's Microsoft in tight.
Yeah, it's Skype. We'll get it figured out for sure. All right. Well, let's get back to our questions, and had some technical difficulty there. At least I wasn't struck by lightning like has happened before. And pretty much, what started your initial experiences with UFOs and got you interested in the subject on this big adventure of your interest in this topic?
Well, my mum's always sort of believed in them, talked about them, and, you know, had all Eric Van Daniken's books about them. I remember when I was about 12, we were bringing the washing in, and we lived out sort of in North Humberside, and we were bringing the washing in, and we were seeing this UFO. It was flying around. It was just zigzagging about in the sky like a fly flies, you know, sort of just changing direction ridiculously. And it was on the radio as well. Lots of other people were seeing it, and they were ringing in the local radio station and saying what they were seeing. And then a little while later, we were playing on a rope swing at the end of the street where I lived. And it was just a field, and we were lived in a little village in the middle of nowhere, really. And we were swinging on this rope swing, and I looked over, and I saw these three perfect circles in this cornfield. And jumped off the swing, we all were running around them. I was only about 12. And then the field was right next to the farmer's house. He came out, he's like telling us off for running around in his field. And I asked him what they were, and he said that they were caused by mini tornadoes in the corn. And we believed him, you know, why wouldn't we? I was 12 years old, and I just remember sort of looking at him, and he just stood there with his hands on his hips looking at him. And I didn't think anything of it at all until years later when I read UK's UFO magazine, and there was a thing about crop circles in it, and I thought, oh God, I've seen that, I've seen one of them. It was nowhere near Wiltshire, hundreds of miles away, in a place where nobody would have even been bothered or even thought of doing it. You know, they were all farmers. So it stems from there, really.
So when you started having these experiences, how did your family react to it? I mean, were they like freaked out, and then you started getting interested in it? Was there any, how did they react to this kind of stuff happening?
Well, it's really kind of normal to all of us. We just sort of accepted it. It's like, you know, we've seen things. My mum's seen the UFO, my grand's seen one. You know, my family are from Wales. You know, my ancestors are Welsh. And when I went to Wales, I used to go with my ex, Steve. We went a few times. And this time that we went in, I thought it was October for ages, but it's February. We just had a cottage for a few days, and we've gone, and there was me, him, his sister, his uncle, his nephew, and my son. And we were just sort of, you know, pottering about. We'd been kind of chopping wood and stuff for the fire, and had a walk and what have you, and had our tea. And I'd gone upstairs, and Steve was shouting at me, and the kids were making a right racket downstairs, so I ran downstairs thinking there was something wrong. And he was outside in the garden, so I went out into the garden with him, and he was pointing and saying, look at that, and I couldn't see anything at all. It was pitch black, there was no street lights, and it was just thick cloud covering. It'd been raining most of the day. And I saw this little flicker of light, and I said to him, it's lightning, you know. And he said, it's not, watch it. So I kept watching, and sure enough, it came on again a little bit further on. And it was sort of heading away from us to our right. And I kind of stood outside watching, and I think everybody else had come out, and we were all stood by this wall looking at it. And then it just changed direction. As it went away from us, it kind of doubled back on itself a little bit, and then came towards us in this sort of zigzag, kind of slow. It wasn't in a rush. It didn't zoom over at 1,000,000 miles an hour or anything. And it was in front of us over the field, just outside where the garden was in this cottage. And it was just like, it looked like a jellyfish, really, because the way the lights were coming on in the clouds, because the clouds were so, you know, the different densities, it was rippling like it was the light shining through a mashed potato or something like that. So I thought it looked a bit like a jellyfish. And then it came over to sort of be right over the top of us, and it wasn't much higher than the house, really. I couldn't guess. It's like 13 years ago now, and you know. you can't remember everything exactly, but it came to be right over the top of us. And we were all just stood underneath it, looking at it and laughing and, you know, like being really excited about it. And at some point, something made me look behind, and I turned round, and behind us was like a chicken wire fence and a copse of trees. And there was this big, like, ball on the floor, and it was glowing, this pulsing, like a greyish white light on and off sort of every other second. But it was a mist swirling around it as well, so you couldn't actually see what was there, but you could see the, you know, the shape of where the light was shining, that it was spherical. And I said, "Oh, look, there's another one," just like that. And everybody turned around and they went, "Oh yeah," and then just carried on looking at the one above us. You know, it was just so weird that we were all so, you know, okay about it. You know?
Hey, Sasha. Hey, Sasha.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's great footage of it looks like it looks kind of like it's an orb. It's actually pretty big. I mean, it's probably as big as like a car tire. And it's out in a field, and all of a sudden you see this helicopter come up on it really fast. And the helicopter was just, I mean, the ball's like moving around, and the helicopter's just like tailing it. I mean, it's really cool. I mean, did you have anything like that when you were seeing crop circles or whatever, and like see any type of official response or anything like that? Or were you guys just out there, you know, doing bomb hits and...
No, well, I've never seen anything like that. This thing was taller than me. It was, you know, maybe about 7 or 8 feet, you know, in circumference or height, whatever. But, you know, it's like my son actually said to me that he'd seen a hand come through the hedge and touch his foot. And he said it wasn't my imagination, I saw it with my eyes, and he was only 5.
You saw a hand?
Yeah, he said hand came through the hedge and touched his foot. And I said to Steve, I went, "Oh, the kids are getting scared, we better take them inside," you know, just like that, not, "Oh my God, a hand," you know.
Yeah.
And looking, nothing, it didn't register. So, you know.
Like Thing from the Addams Family running around out in the...
Oh, but it's just ridiculous. I still can't take it in, really. I find it really hard to believe it myself, you know. But we took them back inside, and then everybody went like really normal, you know. Like the kids just started playing, and John and Daniel went and watched TV, and I think I stood talking to Steve for a bit, but then I think he started doing the dishes or something like that, and I just thought, "Oh, I can't believe this," you know. I said, "I'm off back outside," so I stomped back off outside by myself. I went right back to standing right underneath it, like nobody said, don't do that. I didn't think it was a bad idea. I don't know what possessed me. You know, I can't believe it still. But, you know, when I was stood underneath it, I was looking up, it kind of looked a bit like the underneath of a mushroom, you know. Kind of like a central white, bluey white light. With these kind of lines of light coming out towards the outer edges. And they were just spinning round, you know. And that's what made it look like a jellyfish, you know, because of the lines and the different densities in the clouds. And I just stood there kind of like in my head going, well, you know, come on then, what now? And
yeah, a lot of those crop circles, I mean, there'll be people in a plane, and they'll be flying to see another crop circle, and they'll go over a field, and a couple hours later, they'll go over the same field, and there's this elaborate... Yeah, it's elaborate. It's not like, you know, 200 people ran out there and with their boards and rope and started, running around.
It's what they can do, but I can assure you that 99% of them are not anything otherworldly. You know, I mean, they are so good at them. And if you look at the different crop circles that come up, you can tell that there's different people doing them and they have certain styles. And you can see that they're not genuine just from, you know, if you study the aerial photographs, you can see the wobbles and it's not quite right. And, you know, you have to sort of really look at it. And then if you go on the crop circle connector site, they're doing field analysis reports, and you can see whether they've got blown stems or if there's any radionuclides in the soil, or, you know, if there's any anomalies that are not, you know, further off in the field or in the next field adjacent.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, their cell phones stop working. They have all sorts of weird, goofy crap happen.
Yeah.
In some of those.
Well, I said to Matt Williams, I went to Devon to the weekend, and there was Nick Redfern and Matt Williams and Larry Warren and Pete Robbins were all there. And we were all at the dinner at the end of the week. And I asked him, I said to him, where do you get your inspiration from? I mean, where do your ideas come from? And he's like, I don't know. They just come into his head. And I said to him, do you get any paranormal activity while you're doing the circles? He's like, yeah, it's all he sees, lots of, you know, like lights and orbs and whatever, you know, like really weird things, like you said, like the phone's not working or whatever. So he does have strange experiences while he's doing them, but where his inspiration comes from, I've no idea, because some of it's quite profound.
Right. So earlier in the week we were talking about you kind of need to get some stuff off your chest.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a sort of state of affairs, isn't it, at the moment? I'm kind of disappointed in the way that ufology is going. It just seems to be just a massive bitch-slapping fest. Games of one-upmanship and a total disregard for witnesses. Absolute disregard for them. And, you know, there's a lot of people that... Well, I mean, let's face it, if you haven't got witnesses, what have you got? Absolutely nothing. And there's a lot of people struggling. I have struggled so badly. For the past 13 years, I've only just recently started to be able to manage it, you know, manage myself and not be panicking and being able to go to sleep on a night, and, you know. And there's just so many people in the same boat as me where there's absolutely no support whatsoever. You know, you could murder somebody, go to prison, be housed, you know, educated, blah, blah, blah. Therapy is a lot. You come out, they'll give you a house, they even give you a TV licence, you know, everything. But we can't help what we see. We don't want it to happen. We don't go out there looking for it. It just happens. And then there's nothing. You know, and they say all the crap about his delusion and mass hypnosis and blah, blah, blah. It's rubbish. If that was the case, the way that things are at the moment, and the pharmaceutical companies would be on it like the tramp on a kipper, and they would make trillions because there's millions of us. If this is a delusion, where are the medical studies, and where's the wonder drug to cure it all? I mean, that is one hell of a market.
Yeah, well, listen, they can't. There's really no baseline to do any real research. I mean, there's the fringe, like when they hypnotize you and stuff like that. There's that sort of data, and there's the stuff that Joe's doing with ICAR, with the you know, with the blood types and I mean, nobody's doing that. Nobody.
Yeah.
You know, nobody takes it serious, and there's no. You know,
there's got to be a common denominator if it's a physical or mental thing. Yeah. And you know, the lack of any interest speaks volumes to me.
Well, yeah, it's been anything to do with the paranormal, except if it's in a movie, you know, on the History Channel or something like that, where people can safely sit in their living rooms and talk amongst themselves. But the minute they go outside of their house, you know, you got nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, that's the stigma that, you know...
Well, that is a stigma, and I haven't found that to be true, actually. I mean, I've been surprised at the types of people who, you know, told me what they've seen. I mean, a few years ago, well, quite a few years ago now, I lived next door to this old lady, Pat, and you know, I'd only just started out, really. I think I was writing for UFO Data magazine at the time, and... we stood out in the back garden, and she just said to me, she went, you know, me and my son, we saw 7 UFOs once. And I went, what? She says, yeah, we did. We were coming back from so-and-so. She says, we saw them in the sky, these big black discs, she said. And he came out and he's like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I said to her, do you know what I do? And she went, no, what? And I told her, she was like, no, I couldn't believe it. Just out of the blue, it's a little old lady, 7 UFOs.
I would be like eating lunch with my friends, and these are guys at work, and they're IT professional, you know, Republican guys, and that's, you know what I mean, those type of guys. And we were sitting there talking, and all of a sudden I just said, yo, I'm doing this podcast about, you know, the paranormal, and we're going to be talking about this and this and this. And all of a sudden these guys are just wouldn't shut the fuck up. You know, they're just like, but outside of that little conversation, they don't talk about it. I mean, they don't, you know what I mean?
It's like the Fight Club.
Yeah, you know.
So, Sasha, let me break in here. What are some new developments on Rendlesham? As far as I know, there were some things that you were talking about recently with some new information that came in. If you could tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, well, there's all sorts of stuff, really. There's, you know, all the documents have been released, etc. And the whole hoo-wah. This lad, Storm, he's called on the forum. He's been listening like a complete geek to this tape, in listening to the background, because somebody asked him if he could, if anyone had heard the barnyard noises that was, you know, allegedly heard, in the distance. So he's analysing this tape to see if he can hear any barnyard animals, and he's heard this conversation about the weather, and he's heard a cough and, you know, wooden, the like furniture moving across the wooden floor, etc. And so he's found the dog barking on the tape, and then he's kind of just got, you know, a bit obsessed and gone through the whole thing kind of almost second by second, listening to each tiny bite and listening to it over and over and over. And he's actually, because he's had to turn it up, he's damaged his eardrums. But anyway, there's all sorts of little things that he's heard. And so I had a go at listening to it. And you can hear all sorts in it, but there's one bit that he mentioned that comes up that says about we're going to the starfish. Now, that is kind of just totally bonkers. Why it was starfish? What's that? Is it a bar? Is it, you know, a place? What is it? So I had a little rummage, and we kind of found that the starfish was sort of a decoy for German bombers, that they build sort of like almost like a Hollywood set, load it with explosives, etc. So they set it on fire and attract the Germans over there, and they'd bomb there, and they'd lead them away from the town. But then there was Project Starfish, which was about high-altitude nuclear explosions, which have been conducted, well, since the 1940s, I think. And it's to create sort of extra radiation belts, and for, you know, whatever nefarious purpose that they think we need them up there. And so it looks like this is what was going on the base there, that, you know, that some kind of weapon of this kind has been taking pot shots in the air, basically, I suppose. With it being Christmas and Russians not celebrating Christmas, and they're expecting us all to be off drinking and having a merry old time and not paying attention. But that Russian satellite was coming in as well, so I kind of think that maybe they were trying to knock that out of the sky. And I think maybe they might have hit something else. But in this tape, you can also hear what is like a conversation with somebody who's obviously sort of been treated very badly. And, you know, I think the transcript is still on the Rendlesham Forest Incident Forum. You can go and have a look at that. But it's quite horrible. It's really sad, you know, because it's the sort of thing that went on as well with the aversion therapy that they used, you know, memory implants and all that, pentasol, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Holt has actually said that the third night never happened, and those that remember it were actually remembering because of these sophisticated mind control techniques that were used on them. So you know, there's an admission there. And now, you know, he's come out and he said it's E.T. and they saw, you know, craft from another world. And so, God knows, there's a lot of new stuff coming out. And Monroe Neville's, he's released some more information about what he saw. It's on Earth Files. You know, there's quite a lot going on, but I mean, it wasn't a popular move bringing out the transcript.
Sasha, was this the soldier that was being, I guess, tortured or whatever? Was he was an American, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I seen a thing on Rendlesham. It was just some show on history. It was about probably 6 years ago. And all the soldiers were on there. They seemed pretty calm and everything. And then they had the soldier that actually went and touched the small ship. We saw all the saw all the. That's the guy that was supposed to be tortured, right?
No.
Oh, that's not him.
No.
This guy was. I don't even know why.
Officer.
Yeah, I don't even know why they put him on the show because he wouldn't talk about anything. I mean, he was just freaked out that they were, you know, he's like, I don't really know what I saw anymore. I don't, you know, it was almost like, you know, he just didn't want to talk about it anymore. It was a really weird, kind of an awkward interview.
Well, I mean, it's an awkward subject, isn't it? I mean, these men have, you know, worked, and they are military guys. They're loyal, you know, they're straight down the line. I mean, I spoke to Jim Pennison. I found him to be a really lovely man. I think, you know, he's kept his distance, kept his dignity, you know what I mean? It's like, look at Larry Warren, and he's had the spike end of the pineapple for 27 years. He's still getting it, and even though, you know, things have been verified, you know, it's just ridiculous the fact that they're saying he wasn't there. And if he wasn't there, then he thinks he was because they didn't think that he was. You know what I mean? It's like, at the end of the day, it's like he was a 19-year-old kid, you know, and he's had all that happen to him. And he expects all this kind of decorum and no anger or frustration, especially when everyone's just totally dissed him for all this time, and now everybody else is coming out and saying the same thing. That's all right, you know. It's like that first child syndrome.
Yeah, you know, you have a really profound experience like that. I mean, I would rank it up with like seeing God or an angel. You know what I mean? Like. People start religions over shit like this, and now.
They do, don't they? I mean, I absolutely battered my head completely. I mean, when I was stood out and I was stood underneath it, and I was being like, and I can't even believe it. Still, I was stood there challenging. I don't know what I was thinking really. And then I stood and I heard something running behind me, and whatever it was. Ran so close, it bumped into me and it dragged. I remember my jumper being tugged. Now, at that point, everything clicked into gear and I ran. I mean, all I remember is my heart exploding and running. Well, I don't even remember running, actually. What I do remember is hitting a step and leaping from that step to try and leap as near to the house as I possibly could. And then the step when I hit the floor, and then when I went into the kitchen, and the next day when I looked out, I'd run quite a way. So it's that absolute blind panic. It scared the hell out of me, and it's taken me a long time. In fact, I wouldn't even say that I was totally recovered, because I know I'm not. I have my dark days about it, you know. Yeah. You're never going to know.
It's like looking down and seeing, you know, a 7-inch spider crawling up your leg or something, you know what I mean? And you just...
worse than that.
Well, you know what I mean, that fear, you know.
Jeff Red's show, and he said to me, so what was it that ran behind you then? And I said, well, I don't know. And he said, well, it wasn't the ice cream man, was it? It's like, I don't know if, because I remember going blind, right? So I couldn't actually see. I remember that's that blind panic. I know what that is now. So I don't know if I've seen anything and my brain's just gone, no, does not compute and shut down, whatever. Or if I just panicked absolutely without even looking, but I don't know. That kind of rush of adrenaline, I don't think my adrenal glands have calmed down yet.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, you know, it took me like probably 25 years just to actually come out and start talking about, you know, things that I've experienced, you know, because because they just don't fit in everyday life. You know what I mean? It's not just something you just break out and, hey, you know, I got thrown around my room one night. And
Yeah. No, I know. It took me 8 years. I mean, I actually did go mad. I went mad. I was taking drugs all the time, drinking all the time. I'd be staying up all night and sleeping during the day. And if I did sleep, I couldn't be on my own. I was always out. You know, and I just completely collapsed. I was just a wreck. And I was like that for years, you know, totally erratic, bonkers, all over the place. My life was a complete mess until I started to talk about it, you know. I mean, after a stint in a psychiatric unit and you've actually been in a place where you've wanted to die because you can't take it, you can't, you know, nothing makes sense anymore.
Right.
You know, and I kind of like thought, you know what, it's not me that's mad. It's the bloody whole world is mad. Everything is mental. It's just all a lie. You know, so I just I broke my leg actually, and I couldn't work, so I bought a computer and I thought, oh, what am I going to look at? And I thought, I know, I like UFO magazine, I'll have a look at that. And this forum came up, not the official, not attached to the magazine or anything. I think the domain name had come up and he just stopped it, you know what I mean? So I went on there and I just told my story. I thought, fuck it, I'm going to say something. And I got a reply from this guy and everything. And then it just went from there and I just wouldn't shut up. I think I beat them all into submission on Stop Forum a few times because I just wanted to know everything, you know. And then I started meeting people and that was it. I started to get better.
Well, yeah, when you start realizing that you're not alone. This is one of the problems I have in this field is because there are people that when they you know, pretty much I can guarantee anyone who has a legitimate experience it goes batshit fucking nuts at some point. I think.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and they don't run out and write a fucking book. You know, and then go on the circuit. You know, they don't make DVDs and sell it, and you know, and get out there and start, you know, doing the fees and all that shit. You know, they sit in a dark room, you know, wondering what the fuck's going on, and then until you start reaching out and talking about it, then you realize that your experience was legitimate.
Yeah. You
know, and it's different for everybody. I mean, mine. I haven't really talked to anybody who's had experiences like me. And I haven't really talked to anybody who's had experience like Jeffrey. You know?
Yeah, but see, the thing is like, since then, I've had, like, a few conversations, and I've had weird dreams and things like that in the past that I've thought, God, that was strange, you know? Or, like, out-of-body experiences, and even one time when I was just a total mess, I don't know what had gone on, but I had this massive 3 cracks, like electric shocks in my head, and I remember being sucked out of my face and into this, like, towards this big ball of fire. And then I was looking down at my garden and I thought, oh, I didn't know the flowers looked like that. And oh, look, there's tiles rusting off the roof. And then spun round and that was it. Don't remember anything apart from being lowered to my bedroom floor when I got up and got back into bed. Now, I thought, God, that was weird, you know. And then a dream I had about a big blue goblin that was stood next to me in the bedroom in about 1992, he'll have been, saying, Sasha, wake up now. I shot out that bed because I saw it, but I thought, no, I can't have done it, must have been a dream. And then when I was looking at Witness Drive and stuff, I thought, oh, Lordy. And I watched Communion, and I watched it in 2006 for the first time. And I'll tell you something, those special effects guys who did them little blue dudes, I mean, they were good, they were spot on, because that's exactly what I saw. And I thought, well, you know, a 1991 film was made till, I think, 96 or 7 or something like that, and I hadn't seen it. You know, and it doesn't really matter if anybody believes me or not, I don't really care. It's just, it's for me, you know, that stuff for me, it's like little clues over time that convince you that, you know, this is real, you know, and it's probably been going on for a long time. I mean, crop circles at the end of the street. I mean, we lived in a village, there was only 200 people. Seen the UFO there as well. Oh, and the best bit is, the house that we lived in was called the Triangle. because of the shape of the garden.
I really don't have any memories at all of seeing any entities or beings or anything like that. I've had like days of missing time, and I've had a lot of weird shit like that. But I haven't had. One Sunday I woke up. My parents thought I ran away, and my parents they burst into my room, and I was wrapped up in my blanket like a cocoon. Like, you know how you get into a sleeping bag and you're all wrapped up?
I used to do that all the time. I couldn't go to sleep unless I did that.
Yeah, but my blanket was, I just woke up and I was wrapped like a mummy in my blanket. And back then I had this African thing where I had like an African print on my on my bedspread and all that stuff. And it was just, I was just wrapped up. I mean, it was tight too, And my parents were like, "Are you on drugs? Where'd you go? You just fucking disappeared." And I looked at my mom. I'm like, "I don't know." And she's just like looking at the horror in my face, like confusion. And she's just like, "All right." And she just dropped it. You know what I mean? Didn't pursue it anymore. They never talked about it at all. But I don't remember seeing. I don't remember being touched. I don't remember any beings. I don't remember any of that. I had nothing.
Right. Like that. I remember a few things. I don't know. I do remember when I was little, looking at a light outside in the sky, and I thought it was one of the lights on the walkway in this flat, because I was sitting with those friends and they're babysitting us. And I thought, I'm just looking at it, and I thought in my head, I'm going to make that light get bigger. And it did. It got bigger and bigger and bigger until this white light filled the window. And I remember, I could only have been about 4 maybe. I remember thinking for ages that I had special powers. And, I remember putting my finger in the middle of the TV set for some strange reason, I don't know, like Carol Ann. And all the pictures just completely distorted, the static just collected, give everybody shocks. But my mum said that when I was a baby I used to disappear, but I'd turn up in a cupboard under blankets or something like that, But I don't know if that was me just wandering around or anything odd.
Yeah, I did too. I did too, a lot. And
It seems like to me that when my initial experiences started, the first thing that happened, there was a catalyst in my life when I was young. Got very ill, cancer situation, then my father died, and then I was really pissed off at the world, and I started studying the occult heavily. I didn't really practice it, but any book I could get my hands on, it didn't matter if it was light or dark or whatever. I read it like friggin' Dr. Frankenstein. And then suddenly I began to have UFO sightings at such massive levels that they're over the treetops, that friends see them, that my mother sees them, that my sister sees them, my brother, my nephew, at such a level that people are like, "Dude, you attract UFOs." And I went crazy. I couldn't handle it. It stressed me out so bad I didn't leave my house for a very long time. Hell, I don't even leave my house that much now. But nonetheless, what I think, the determination that I've made is there are a group of beings who are here for our growth, and they're caretakers of the human race and the planet. And I do believe that, of course, there may be negative entities, but I do think there's a big infatuation with, reptilians work for the Illuminati and shoot heart beams and they're evil, yada, yada, yada. Well, I've seen reptilians, and the reptilians that I've seen told me that they loved me to sing, to write, and they were very bizarre looking. And I think what it is something to do with possibly us being from somewhere else. If you look at life in the incarnation of the Spirit, obviously the Spirit comes from somewhere else. I mean, even if you look at Christ, he goes, "I'm not of this world." So, he came from another world, right? So I think the thing is, a lot of us are here and have incarnated into this realm because the times we're living in is probably one of the most hectic times ever on the earth, or it's about to hit possibly. And a lot of us here are here to wake people up raise awareness and to usher in a new era and possibly hopefully save us from destroying ourselves. And if you notice the people who are involved and have UFO sightings, not all, but most, like Joe, me, Guy, Joyner, many people, a lot of them are people who are raising awareness. They're messengers. And I believe that's why we have these sightings on some level, yourself included. And it's because they're there, it's like signs, omens, to show us that that's what we're here to do. And I definitely believe that's why it's happening. And, of course, I think there are negative experiences that people might go through. I've never had any happen with them at all. I've seen beings of light. I've seen reptilians. I've seen little friggin' Star Wars Jawas in the woods standing around a bizarre box. And I was scared to death, but never have I been hurt or anything to that matter.
Same thing, all different, because I've woken up in, a situation where I've got my legs in the air, right, and I can't move them, and my arm in the air. And I woke up and I thought, oh, what are you doing? And I started to laugh at myself, and then I'm kind of trying to pull my arm down, it won't move, and I thought, oh, there's somebody there, and I said, put the light on. And I'm thinking to myself, if they put the light on, I'll be able to move, And then my arm dropped, I got pins and needles, and I remember flexing my fingers, and then I don't know anything else. And I've woken up with bruises all over me. I've woken up with a line of bruises going from my wrist up to my shoulder on my right arm, and I look like my left arm had been, God knows what. I've woken up with the same pattern of bruising on my left leg. And it's like, I don't know what that is. I'm not happy about that at all. I don't think it's all love and light and, bloody fluffy Palladians coming to save the world, beings of light, still being beings of light and not humans, I don't understand all that, but it's not...
Hey,
it's not right. No.
We got to go to break for 10 minutes, I believe. So hold that, if possible.
I'll hold that, Rob.
Don't fall asleep.
Man, I've had so much iced coffee I can't fall asleep. I'm like crack.
Blaze thinks we're homos because we're totally into moshing.
He's
you two are.
We're on the road right now. Welcome back to the Church of Mabus. Moshing with the Apocalypse. How'd you like the devil voodoo music? That's how we do it.
It's not it, is it, really? I mean, you two are just like a grown-up version of Beavis and Butthead.
We've been called that before.
If they were still on the go, if they were real.
You know what? I take that as a compliment. That's a compliment. You know what I mean? Because it's just our format, and we talked about this from the very beginning, is just, we're just going to be two, fucking slobs just talking like anybody else, just having normal conversations with people, like we're sitting around drinking beers. We're not going to get fancy, no production values, just hanging out and talking. I mean, that's our shtick, I guess.
Yes, we're heavy metal meets paranormal, and we just kind of like to sit back and talk about these subjects. We don't want to sit around and sound like game show hosts and stuff like some of these other people, they're like, spin the wheel. I don't go for that. Sounds like a lot of different hosts are faking their voice when they speak. Not Joe, of course. But I'm not going to name any names out there. Let's get back to the subject. We had a little meeting there and a preview of what we're about to talk about during our break. I'm curious, Sasha, what do you think about the whole Catholic Vatican situation and them trying to get into the alien subject and release data. To me, it's very disturbing because I think that the whole pedophile thing is like tainting the whole image of UFOs. I don't want them near it. So what do you think about it?
Well, I kind of think it's interesting that, you know, at the moment, to me, it seems like the UFO phenomenon is being pushed as a cultural belief. And, you know, kids' programs are saturated with it. There's so much stuff on the TV and the internet. It's the second most researched subject on the internet underneath religion, I think. You know, there's a lot of people into it, a lot of people interested. There's no, I don't noticed any piss-taking anymore, you know. A little bit in the radio shows in England, if you listen to them, it's just shocking. They just can't cope with it at all. You know, they just totally parody it constantly. But everywhere else, it's becoming kind of mainstream and all right to believe in it. And I sort of think that, you know, there's a lot of technology that we've got that does some really mad shit, and you just look at it and you think, no way have we got anything that could do with that. Well, yes, we have. And, you know, I think that a lot of it is our, you know, the military would like us to believe that what we're seeing is UFOs, and then they can be up there looking like a UFO, do whatever they want, some kind of offensive whatever, and then say, look, we see aliens
you won.
in here, they're hostile, we need to put weapons in space. That's just, you know, one kind of tactic, maybe. But the Vatican, I mean, they've got an observatory out there, they've got a telescope, it's pointing a certain way, there's the whole Fatima thing, and all Christianity now is being smashed to pieces. Muslims kind of beat up and put down all the time. So all the religions are just being completely, you know, set against each other. Like in England, you're not allowed to wear a cross to work if you're a Christian, in case it offends another faith. A woman in a hospital, she got sacked for refusing to take a cross off. Yet in a ward in that hospital, they'd agreed to turn the beds to Mecca. You know, and it's just ridiculous. It's just causing all these problems. And it's like the Vatican have got all the money, they've got all the power, you know, and all better to be sort of like backing up. You know, we need to have, you know, a better defence. You know, all the rest of it.
You know, they got all those observatories and everything. I mean, they're looking for wormwood, essentially. You know, they're looking for that sign in space that's going to herald, you know, when Jeebus comes back or whatever. you know, they call Britain an nanny-state.
Oh, well, it is. It's ridiculous.
I mean, yeah.
You don't like your own bum in the toilet without having a set of instructions on it.
I know. You don't want to. I mean, they're just trying to be so politically correct, not trying to.
They're not just being oppressive. It's ridiculous. Oh, this country is shocking. I can't even believe what's happening. You know, I mean, literally, there are cameras everywhere, and they've got microphones. They can hear what you're talking about. You know, and it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Why? You know what?
Well, America's not all that great either, so.
To be honest. No way.
Yeah, they started the camera stuff, I guess, after the subway bombings and stuff, right? Like when they blew up the bus and everything.
Well, they've been introduced for a long time now, more. They're just absolutely everywhere. Oh, yeah, and when there's an incident that ever happens, they're not switched on, are they? Oh, no, we didn't have them switched on that day. right across London, whatever.
Yeah, the guy was probably in the bathroom rubbing one out or something like that instead of watching the...
They are not allowed to leave the post. You know what I mean? I know somebody who did that, and it's quite a responsible job. You can track one person, could leave him a shop, track them right away across town onto whatever it was, just by switching cameras. You know, and that's what they do. I mean, they're making it like now. The police used to be all right, you know, it's approachable. Now they just seem like meatheads, absolute bullies. You know, sarcastic, and they're just. I don't know. I know a few old school types, and they're just, you know, great guys, and I don't even know what's going on, and they've got all these uniforms, and they just, you know, look like they're going to war. And all they're doing is creating the problems because everyone just is so oppressed. You're not allowed to do anything, you know, and everyone's just going mental. And so then they go, well, look, you see, you're out of control, and you're not allowed to have an independent thought anyway, so press that alarm. But now it's that people like me are being classed as domestic extremists because the definition is because we want to sway opinion or change the course of events by speaking publicly and not using the normal democratic process. Oh, well, what is that anyway? It doesn't even work. We found out that all this money that they've been spending and paying on their own bloody mortgages and employing their own family and all the rest of it. And where's all that money come from? They can't put it to good use. They're just liars, all of them. Every single one is a liar. You can't trust any of them. Not a single government in this world would I absolutely say for a second had anything good about them. They're all just greedy and manipulative, mechanoids.
Well, yeah.
No regard for anybody or anything apart from themselves. And I don't even know what they think they're doing. This is their planet. They need to breathe this air. They need to eat the same food. What is the point? Are their grandchildren going to be proud of them? I don't think so.
No, because they don't give a shit about their grandchildren. They care about their bank accounts, and they care about, the whole personal, what I can get for me type attitude, which is why, people don't understand why, people are holding secrets and don't whistleblow and that sort of thing, because, they lose control of stuff. They lose power, they lose money, And Joe was talking about on his show earlier.
What they've got power of. They're just made a clay like everybody else. Take them apart from each other. They're just people, you know what I mean? It's like they all huddle together with all the big guns pointing in every direction, saying, don't trust anybody because we don't. Don't trust your neighbour, shop your neighbour. Every Muslim's a terrorist, It's just, it's crazy. I always say we see things as we are, and they are trying to make out that we, the people, are like they are, but we're not. And that they need to be like that because we are, and we're not. And like the G20 protests that are being called riots. They're not riots, they're protests. And that woman who got shot, practically point blank range, for nothing. What is that about? It's disgusting. Who are they?
I live in Philadelphia, and they had the Republican convention here a few years ago, and they had all of the protesters. They wouldn't allow them anywhere near where the actual convention was, and they had them like 10 blocks away. And then they arrested them all and put them in an old shut-down prison that's like haunted. with like dirt floors and shit. It was fucked up. They spent all this money painting all this blight, like blue and red and yellow, and they were just abandoned buildings. Just all this crazy crap, you know what I mean? People, they just do all this stupid shit instead of just doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I
was watching a program on TV about the war on drugs. It's like the war on drugs. There's never been so many, or they've never been available so cheaply or easily. And people are getting canny or they're coming out before, and they're flooding the market before they even get classified. And I was watching this program. It's like all these arrests, all these coppers turning up, kicking the doors in, rah rah rah, dogs, bands, everything. Right, 7 or 8 of them. And there's one little lad, one young lad. He's smoking a split, and they found 1.5 ecstasy tablets, right? And that was it. He got a caution or something like that. And I was watching all the way through the programme, all this manpower, all this effort, and the fines that they actually pulled in from all of that was about £1,500. What's that? I don't know, $3,000. 2 or 3 arrests, something like that. Out of all of that, and there was like, I don't know, 9, 10 people that went storming into. How is that cost effective? What did they find? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, when I lived in Phoenix, I lived on a block that was right on the border of one town into another, and literally in a probably a 4-block radius, there was probably 6 or 7 major, methamphetamine dealers, and they were major. They would bring in bricks. You know what I mean? It was just like shit was everywhere. You couldn't go anywhere without tripping over it. And how do you stop that? How do you? You can't.
You're not going to, are you? Because it's not like Joe Bloggs who's bringing it all in, is it? It's just being allowed in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It's there, it's available. God, they are not trying to stop it at all. I'm sorry. They might make a bit of an effort here and there, give themselves a pack, justify themselves, but at the end of the day, it suits them because then we're all a mess. Rather we're all in a mess and not doing anything, just sitting at home, vegetating, piss, stuff, whatever, doing nothing apart from staring at the goggle box,
Yeah,
no brain good.
Mexico's thinking about legalizing everything.
Well, the prohibition doesn't work, does it? I mean, all it does is put people in danger, essentially, because all they're buying is shit, stuff that's got poison in it. I know somebody who, well, I don't know him, I know of somebody who'd injected, it was supposed to be heroin, but it's full of brick dust, do you know what I mean? And then there's kids exposing kids, because they're going to smoke weed, you know what I mean? And then where did they go? They have to go to some dodgy guy to pull up in a car, or whatever, It's not safe, is it? And it's not going to stop them. Nothing stops anybody. In fact, it's getting worse. The people are getting more and more pissed off with the situation and the way life is, and now they can't even do anything. They're not allowed. Monkey bars out of playgrounds because somebody might hurt themselves. And good God. And nobody move. You might get hurt. So you just go crazy.
Everybody's walking around with fucking phones.
You know that you're not allowed to do anything, so you might as well just do everything anyway, because no it's allowed, and you can. The kids in England, they've got nothing to do, nothing at all. It's like, right, there's your brainwashing at school. Now get a job, pay your taxes, quickly, hurry up. We don't care, we're not bothered. Just get into the machine and get on with it, because I want a gold-plated well cover for my garden, and it's they're telling you, you're not allowed to smack your kids, and saying no, telling your child that your child's being naughty is emotional abuse, but then they'll go, get them in the army, send them off to Afghanistan and have them shot in the face in a second. Yeah, well, I don't think so. It's just completely
Meanwhile, they can't go to the bar. Meanwhile, they can't go to the bar and have a drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they can go and go get killed or whatever.
Let me tell a quick story about me getting caught with a joint once, just to summarize the South when it comes to weed. About 5 years ago, I got a joint. And I hadn't had weed in a very long time, like years, and I got one joint. I went off with this girl I met on the internet. We shagged. Next thing you know, we're going out looking for weed. Anyway, she pulls over at a gas station. We eventually got one doobie from some place, a bar or something. We pull over at a gas station. I'm sitting in the car. She goes in the gas station, and then I'm waiting in the car. She runs out with a 12-pack and gets in the car, and the clerk's chasing her. She takes off in the car, hits the clerk. The clerk's chasing her, hops in the car, somebody does, and chases us down. She wrecks. And then I get out of the car, and I barely know this girl. I just met her, And she basically shoplifted from the gas station. Anyway, all the cops come, like 5 million of them, and they catch me with one joint, and I go to jail. And basically what happened is she got for shoplifting, and I didn't get anything on the shoplifting because I didn't even know she was going to do it. And I wouldn't have condoned it if she was. Running over a gas clerk. But pretty much I get to jail. I start thinking that my chest is hurting, and I tell them I have to go to chemo, which is a lie, but I've been through chemo before, so I can lie like that. They let me go with like a $300 fine real quick. They make me watch videos of like monkeys driving drunk and hitting shit, and then the video also talks about men lactating milk from the breast. That's what marijuana does, and it costs me like $500 on duty.
Oh my God!
It's the mafia with this stuff. That's why they don't want to legalize. They get so much stuff from taking people's goods and getting possessions, cars, houses, and everything. That's why it's still illegal, especially down here in the South. It may get legal somewhere else out there, but down here it'll be another 50 years probably.
Yeah, well, it all goes back to, it all goes back to just how people are. I mean, you can take this all the way up to why UFOs and stuff like that, why there's no disclosure and stuff like that, because it's just human nature. It's just how we are. You know what I mean? I mean, we're gonna make money off things, or we're gonna control things, or we're gonna do this and that, but we're not gonna share the information.
Exactly. It's just, DC just had an article that went out. I read that they're about to give medical marijuana people for free. They're just going to give it to them. But only we could talk about UFOs, aliens, and weed in the same conversation. Now we just need to talk about the Nazis, and we'll be just like, there we go.
I don't think the Nazis had UFOs. I mean, they had some round things. They had some round, like,
throwing the Nazis out.
I think they had some bonkers stuff going on that. We nicked all the scientists, or you did. Somebody did.
There's some Nazi bases on the moon.
You work for us now.
Yes, we own you.
I believe Hitler was into some weird occult stuff and maybe had some kind of contact with something, and it taught him all kinds of weirdness, like the devil or something weird. I don't know, but there was definitely something weird about that guy. But let's get back.
He used the cult, though. He used the magic a lot on everybody. Nobody realised that all they were doing when they were shouting Zeke Island and sort of hitting their chest and pointing their hand to him was giving them their solar energy, their own personal energy. And Zeke Isle is a rune, it's the solar rune, and that's the personal power, and that's what they were giving him. And they weren't even aware. I mean, and the sigil for it is the S, in the SS sign.
Yeah, it's rune stones.
That's all the runic. And I think, I remember reading.
That was all Himmler stuff.
Winston Churchill had the upper hand because he knew that Hitler was into all that stuff, and so he was kind of like, he hired astrologers. He had all the same people that Hitler, to predict all the way, when it was the best day to go to war, etc. And so Winston Churchill got this reading or whatever, this astrology reading, and was one step ahead of Hitler, and I think that's why it all went a bit tits up.
Yeah, listen, Hitler himself, he hated all that shit. It was all like Himmler and Goebbels took all the Goebbels, whatever the fuck. They took all this Nostradamus shit and everything, and then they started putting out. They started changing everything so it would look like Germany was gonna win the war, and then Churchill turned around and they had a whole department, like a whole astrology, paranormal, occult department that just all they did was counter his stuff, And Himmler was all Knights of the Round Table thing. He had a castle, and he would take all his guys and they would meet, with this round table, and they all had like special rings with Dakota rings,
Throwing bones.
Literally. I mean, they were nuts. I mean, they were just
holy moly.
Yeah, they just took everything from all sorts of different religions and ancient history and stuff like that, and just created it into their own little fucking nightmare.
It's a bit like chaos magic, that, isn't it, really? Because it's kind of the chaos sort of temple believe that everything happens by accident, but that these energy lines are real, they're there, they can be tapped into, anyone can use anything, voodoo, whatever, because it's alive already, the energy's there, and it's about manipulating energy to, bending energy at will to manifest whatever, which is an interesting thing, because I totally believe in that. I think you can do that. I do think your thoughts create your reality, which is what really annoys me when I see people telling me that my negativity is causing earthquakes and starvation across the globe. And we should all think and the world would be a better place. It's like, oh my God, how deluded are you? You can't sit on your fat ass in your bedroom, munching cake, smoking fags, and just in this kind of ethereal fugue of Palladianness, saying that concentrate all your psychic energy on stopping these earthquakes. It's what they are, they're not natural disasters, they're natural occurrences, And if you do understand the true nature of psychic energy, if you're concentrating all your energy and telling everybody else onto this already pressured point, you're just going to make it worse.
And plus all these guys are hypocrites.
Absolutely. They're easy to wind up. They're really quickly, and it's like, where's Where's your love
They're
and light
driving in
now?
traffic, flipping people off, and there's no love and light there. Look at this chick, this nutcase, Roxy Lopez. So you got this girl, she's running around saying, "Oh, love and light," and it's sickening. It drips off of her page. You know what I mean? Her Facebook page. But then everybody who disagrees with her,
there's people that are like that. Always have like 4,000 friends in the thing. You know what I mean? It's like what?
And they're hilarious. They're just so
She
funny.
hates my guts, man.
Yeah.
She's friggin' got a posse after me. She hates me.
And they're just fun to terrorize and just to make their lives miserable.
Well, I think there's a lot of absolute twaddle on Facebook. I mean, I see these YouTube clips of these black coffins and FEMA camps, and there's some guy with a tash wandering around telling you what it all is. It's like, right, okay, let's not listen to the narrative. Let's just see what we're seeing. Break it down. A bit of a fence, some building off in the distance. You know, it's like I could make those videos. I mean, I've even said I'm going to do it. There's a golf course down the road. They've got that, that kind of fence with the concrete barriers and the barbed wire at the top, and there's a little electricity box off in the distance. You could just totally make it up. Absolutely. I mean, if something terrible did happen and they didn't have anything like this prepared, then what would the victim? You know what I mean? I know the whole FEMA thing, and but the fact that they're going to round us up, put us in these FEMA camps, chippers and experiment. What for? If you believe all the conspiracy theories, they're already doing that anyway as we go about our day. With all the vaccines and the fluoride in the water and all the other crap that they're doing and the spraying shit in the sky. They don't need to put us in anywhere like that.
No, I mean, our governments allow like so much rat shit and whatever in our food. They allow those like those soft cookies that you eat, and the Pringles that don't break in those cans and everything.
Hey, listen, I ate some Pringles
plastic.
today.
It's plastic.
The ingredients, you read the ingredients on the back of a packet of Pringles now, it says sodium, whatever percent, and in brackets it says 0.3% protein, codex whatever it is. I can never even get that word out. Aluminum Illuminati. You know what I mean? They're even interfering with they're not even crisp, but they're made by Procter and Gamble, and they make bloody washing machines and washing powder and stuff, don't they?
Those bastards.
Food.
Pringles.
But the average human being eats around 13 pounds in weight of chemical additives and pesticides in the food every year.
Yeah.
What? And now all this nano crap as well that they want to put in your medication. What? I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, they got to keep all the corporations happy, because they've spent a ton of money developing these pesticides, preservatives, and all this stuff, and they got to come to a happy medium, and then they just do some tests to say, well, it didn't kill some mice, so it's got to be good for us. No, really. I mean, that's pretty much how it goes. Yeah. So, it's just a whole spend and consume global economy right now.
No, have you seen the film Spirited Away? It's like a manga cartoon. It's a film called Spirited Away. It's a manga cartoon. There's this creature that turns up in this bath, and all it does is handing out gold, and all the people are running around giving it loads of food and things, and it's just eating everybody and everything. And this little girl won't take his shiny things, and it's the end of him. He regurgitates everything that he is, and it's like every time I see that, I think that's what people are like now. They're giving these shiny things to chase to totally distract them from what's going on. Like, don't look over here, look, a new shiny thing, and they go, oh, brilliant, I want that new shiny thing. I'm going to queue up outside the shop in my sleeping bag from 3 o'clock in the morning to get a new shiny thing, and then we're all going to trample each other to death to buy it. I mean, we've had incidents like that in England when sales have been on and people are trampling them over each other to buy a Kate Moss dress. Do you know what I mean?
Or an iPhone or whatever. Yeah. God,
it's ridiculous, and it's just so distracting. There's so many things out to distract you. And the way that they advertise and queue theorists, so you don't feel like you're queuing long, and all that psychological warfare that is just totally pounded with it all the time. And, no wonder everybody's bonkers.
Yeah, well, listen. I mean, you have... it doesn't matter what you are in society. I mean, you are going to be distracted.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's just... everything's just coming at you from every corner. I mean, you can't go anywhere without being bombarded with something, you know.
So let's get on to the mod subject, the MOD. What's going on with them lately as far as UFOs and stuff? I know I've seen a lot of articles lately. They're releasing stuff, they're not releasing stuff, they're doing this, they're doing that. What's your take on that situation, Sasha?
Well, what they're doing is, they've closed down the UFO desk. They're not taking any more reports of sightings anymore. They've deemed it no defence significance, and it's not important. It's not worth wasting £50,000 a year on anyway. You know, that's so much money for the Ministry of Defence in it. But basically, they shut the desk down. You can't report sightings, so there we go. You can't FOI any, especially sort of ones where maybe jets have been scrambled, etc. Nothing. So what they're doing is they've just released all the UFO files. And to be honest, when you look at the sightings and it's sort of like you can get lists of reports and they go, and the caller said, saw a UFO, a white light, and they don't ask any questions, they don't take any detailed information whatsoever. So how do they know there's no defence significance when they've not actually asked a single question about its behaviour or any, nothing. So they're releasing all the files, and obviously there's a lot of that kind of stuff in it, and there's a load of rubbish. But there's quite a lot of stuff in there that is, undeniable. You just can't deny it. But they're not saying anything about it. And now we've got all these defence cuts and with virtual flight training to cut down CO2 emissions, and that's not true. It's the kind of going to be sort of, I don't know how to put it really. They're going to have joint operational forces between the Department of Defence and the MOD. So they don't really need all this money. The defence cuts are because private investors and corporations are usually footing the bill for everything. And it's because of their technology and our sightings, and, it's just so we've got no avenue of, collating any statistics and either trying to figure out what's going on. And they don't investigate sightings. I think really what that is, a remit falls to the USA for that. They have their own departments. I mean, I've found quite a lot of documentation that supports it, and I've sent it to a few people that have looked at it, and just it's genuine. It's an Air Force Defence protocol for UFO incidents at home and overseas.
They're just gathering data, really, right?
Well, now the MOD, they're just kind of like whittling away into nothing because of this joint operational forces concept that we're being standardised with the US Army or forces. So I don't really know. We've kind of tried to make ourselves indispensable by creating this niche market for components for the computer network that they want to use to shut down all the satellites and stuff if they need to, in that panic situation. But that's because we've got none of our own hardware up there. So, it's hard to say what's going on because the whole thing's just a sham of a mockery anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's no science behind it. They're just taking reports, that sort of thing.
But they don't anymore, they just don't take them. So I sort of encourage everybody to ring the police, and then we could FOI the police for how many reportings they'd been given. I spoke to Nick Pope about it, and he said to me that all police stations have UFO incident forms because he wrote them. So you might as well take advantage of that fact, and then we can FOI the police and maybe get some statistics there. And if it's a real sort of seriously sounding incident, they might even go out and investigate. And hey presto, credible witnesses, because everybody's going to plead for police officer, right?
Yeah, I mean, so they're just letting all the local people take the reports and that sort of thing, and they're not in any official capacity actually taking the reports. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they're not taking any. There's no UFO deaths now.
Yeah.
There's no one to report anything to. And if you do report anything, they will maybe take notes and then destroy those notes after 30 days.
Wow.
And I think they have something like a 20-day response time, and if and it's all just bullshit anyway.
So, well, that's the public. There's not a public repository. I'm sure there's still a defense
Oh, of
department.
course, yeah, totally. I mean, I've got the NSA. I mean, it's only about 20 miles away from me. Is Menwood Hill. They have had their dealings and their interest in UFOs. I mean, I've got documented the affidavit, NSA affidavit on the UFO issue. I mean, there's only about 6 or 7 words on any page that you can read, and it doesn't tell you anything at all. But it's an actual about a case, and so. It's a legal document, and they have information on UFOs, and they do take an interest, and it is obviously of defence significance if National Security Agency are keeping an eye on the matter.
Right.
Anyway, I mean, if there's nothing to hide, then why blank anything out? Why not just say
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you have countries like Brazil and Argentina and Norway and France. Spain, there's Iran. There's a lot of countries that still, take this very seriously, and they investigate it, and they have departments, and the USA says they don't do it, or America says they don't do it, but they do.
Absolutely, they do.
Especially with the FAA and that sort of thing.
Oh well, I mean, you can't even keep up with the acronyms, can you? I mean, they change them every 5 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, there have been lots of reports, especially with like airline pilots, mainly with pilots. I mean, they have to have some sort of avenue when they're talking about, hey, something just passed me doing, Mach 8, and it's.
Well, there was that one scene at the end of the bottom end of the country here at Jersey. The airline pilot. I think he was flying to Jersey, and I think another one was coming into Guernsey or something, I'm not sure. 2 airline pilots saw this UFO, and the guy, he actually, he spoke out, it was on the news and everything, and he said it was about a mile wide. He said,
oh, yeah.
I just couldn't wait to get on the ground and have a cup of tea.
Yeah, I mean, look, go see your head when you're flying a jet, and you see that. I mean, what do you say to someone? Without them taking away your license and your livelihood.
So, Sasha, a lot of people have taken interest in some of your, I don't know exactly what the word is, slang or some of the lingo that you say, some of the British lingo. Could you give us more of those? People in the chat room love it, and we like to hear those little, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, for instance, you told me when you wake up early in the morning in Britain, y'all call it what?
I think she's gone, dude.
Oh, no. You there, Sasha?
Yeah, she's gone.
It dropped. Are you there, Joe? Can you hear us?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, yeah, he's
calling
gone.
her.
We got a hater.
I know. That's either the guy that pretends to be a grandmother or just some...
No, it's all right, man.
I don't care.
We got a hater.
First complaint all night. It's probably cutie face.
Hey, you know what, man? I mean, people can, you're going to get this, dude. Listen, man, I was on iTunes the other day, and I was like, man, people are dicks. I mean, they're dicks. They just came into our little area over there, and all these Paracast and Paratopia douchebags just calling it. Hey, yeah, you there?
Hello. I think
Yeah, I thought you were mad at me for a second, man. I was all talking, and then you're just like all silent and shit. And I'm just like, uh-oh.
I even talk in my sleep.
Yeah. So how long did you talk before you realized we weren't there anymore?
All the time. And I was like, oh my God, what? I'm actually logged in on the chat room now.
Well, basically what I was asking, we were talking about some of your slang or lingo you use that I'm sure over there it's normal, as far as something about a tramp, something or another.
Oh, yeah, tramp on a kipper.
Tramp on a kicker.
Yeah.
And what was the one that you said was...
It's fish that you have for breakfast. It's really weird, but yeah.
What's the one where you wake up early? Something about a sparrow farting.
Well, in Yorkshire, you say you got cracket sparrow fart. And it means crack of the sparrow's fart.
Is there any other ones that come offhand?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I make a lot of them up myself anyway.
Tramp on a kicker?
Kipper. Kipper is a fish, you see.
Hey, made a friend back in the day. We used to go to yeah, man. Yeah, like totally, dude. We used to go to parties and shit in other towns, and we both perfected like a British accent. Well, for us. You know what I mean?
Oh, no. You can't do it. I thought I might have issues with my accent, so I wish I could learn the English accent that you get to hear in the film, because nobody in England actually talks like that at all.
I know. I've actually seen horror movies from Ireland. I just watched this one called Dark Country not too long ago. It was about, like a werewolf and stuff like that, and it was actually from Ireland, and these guys are speaking English, but with their, heavy accents. And I had to turn on fucking subtitles because I couldn't understand a fucking word they were saying.
No,
literally. It was all shit, and I'm like, what? So, I'm going back, turning on the subtitles. It was pretty funny. But yeah, man, we used to get all sorts of girls. They would just be like, oh, you're from Britain? And we were just like, yeah, it was great, man. We had it down.
You're our first British guest, Sasha.
Woo!
Woo!
Coming live to you from the UK of A.
Yeah.
You've been making history. History.
Oh, dear.
British guest.
No, I can't do that.
Yeah, don't do that no more, Jeff.
Yes, sir. But basically, what is your view on the alien agenda on that Earth? Do you think there's good ones and evil ones, and what do you think about the ones that have interacted with you? If you had any negative experiences that you would consider negative?
Yeah, but I have my suspicions that I don't know. God, I have no idea really. I just speculate really. But I did have one in 2007, and I was staying at a friend's house with Anne and Jason Andrews. Paula Harris was there. She was speaking at a conference. I'd gone to review it. And she stayed one night and refused to stay, and we had to take her to a travel lodge for her to book in there. She refused to stay another night, and Anne was going there, so who's going to sleep in Jason's bedroom next? It's renowned for weird. And I was like, I will, Took myself in there, put my dictaphone next to bed, went to sleep, and I kind of woke up when my covers were pulled off, and I felt like something had been, like rubbery cling film had pulled over the top half of my body, and I couldn't breathe. And I know I was thrashing my legs because I'd broken my leg, and my leg was hurting. And then I could breathe again, but then I went absolutely ice cold all the way through. And and I can remember this little weird thing, this black, it looked kind of like a dog, but not, chewing on my hand. And I was aware of people talking, and I was trying to shout, and I had to really, really concentrate on my voice because it was so quiet. And and then I kind of woke up the next day and I was a bit freaked out, but I thought, you don't know. When you're in bed, you don't know if it's a dream or not until kind of the next afternoon, and when it was kind of a break in the conference, and I was outside talking to Jason and his wife Jackie, and I looked at the back of my hand, and I had all these bruises all over with these needle marks in them, and and my head was just completely all over the place for ages after that. I even went on GMTV, and it's a morning programme when Nick Polk was on, and I was on the phone, and this guy telling me that I'd done it to myself, and it was sleep paralysis. It's like, how can it be sleep paralysis? You can't move. How could I have? And how would I have actually done that to my hand, And then 4 days later was the one where I've already mentioned, where I woke up with my legs in the air. So, I don't know what the hell it is. But I have suspicions of military involvement, or not even necessarily military, but humans. Because it's like I have kind of like vague memories of stuff as a kid, and I don't want to either say yes or no, and it could be a product of my imagination. I've no idea. But since I started talking about it, it seems to have taken on a slightly more sinister turn, and I've had a lot of bruises and a lot of, mental confusion after certain events, and like, I've seen lots of UFOs, I see them on a fairly regular basis, and when I start to convince myself, no, it can't be real, then I see another one, and it's like, it's like to play games with your head, and I don't know what it is. I don't know. And you know what? I don't care. I'd just like to know. I don't care if it is all military, and I don't care if it is all aliens, or if it's both. Either way, it's not right, and it's not fair that we're completely denied as well, and ignored, and made to feel stupid and isolated and just left to rot. It really pisses me off. There's just no support network within the UFO community either. Nothing really solid. I mean, there are groups that you can talk to people, and I've met some fantastic people, I really have. But there's lots of psychologists and all the rest of it, and they're all out there saying this, that, and the other, and being really clever and blah. But they're not actually sort of committing themselves to doing something like setting up something official. There's a lot of people that do make money out of this kind of, out of the topic. I've never made a penny out of anything I've ever done. This money should be really used to put something back and give people like me and other people who need help proper, but it's post-traumatic stress disorder. That's what I've had, and that's what a lot of people have. And it's a serious condition, one that's taken totally, and there's experts in it. And the same applies to people who've had a shock like I have. I mean, that really did blow my mind completely. And you just have to learn how to manage yourself. And a lot of people don't. They mismanage themselves, and they have really shocking lives. And addictions and, emotional issues, and can't maintain relationships because they've got all this anger and frustration and confusion and fear, And
hey, Sasha, we're down to like our last minute, so it's been a pleasure, and it's been 2 hours, and we really were glad you could make it and enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Thanks for episode Psychotically Late.
Thanks for having me.
It just flew by. It just flew by.
It did. We time travel.
Hey, go to sleep now.
If you can.
No, but then I'm just going to be going blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Thanks to Sasha Christie, and thanks everybody for listening. Next week, Nick Pope, the 14th. And also, we're doing Adam Go Lightly on Charles Manson Monday. You can find that on our archives or on Joe's archives. We appreciate it, and thanks for listening for the Church of Mabus. This is our first night talking to this many people, so I'm sure we'll evolve as we keep going and definitely get better. That's how it works.
Say hi to Pal Talk Room. I love Pal Talk. Pal Talk's brilliant. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
It's the Mabus Room. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
All right. Good night.